Fellas, we got some new merch available on our website, crowncinema.com. Bring back good movies. We all miss them. And we have a Crown Texas flag on the front. Cool for the summer. We also got hats available, so if you're a fan of the show and want to support us, check out some merch. You can look good while you're doing it. All right, let's get in the episode.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Crown Cinema Podcast. In this episode, we are breaking down
and literally just watched
Top Gun Maverick in American style.
Yep.
That's an American
I got my
shirt.
cutoff sleeve.
Yep.
Miller High Life, 1776 hat. I'm not playing games here, Cade. I love my country.
Best holiday throughout the year. 4th.
So what a great movie to watch for it.
Yeah. Truly a modern American patriotic movie.
Yeah. Shout out to Tom Cruise. I know that we just did all the Mission Impossible movies, and I know that by the end of it, I was kind of just dogging on him.
Yeah.
This one, he should be very proud of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you're not a huge fan of Tom Cruise, but
It's not so, yeah.
the thing is, he is like the last remaining movie star
Yeah.
that is constantly just pushing the limits
Yeah.
of what he can capture on screen, the stunts, his dedication.
Yeah.
His movies aren't always good. Most of the time, they're pretty decent, though. If you watch a Tom Cruise movie, it's most likely going to be pretty solid.
Yes.
But
It's just,
unless you're
yeah,
watching Dead Reckoning Part 1, then you're going to be like, fuck you.
Yeah. All it is just that, like, literally the household I grew up in was just not a huge, like, my dad's just not like a big sci-fi
Right.
movie watcher. So obviously, love Top Gun, love that movie. But my dad was not into the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but we also, my parents do love the movie where he plays the lawyer
Yeah.
in the
A
military.
Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
Great movie.
With Jack Nicholson. Love that movie. Love that movie. And then there's another movie that I have seen where I think he's a lawyer again. But this one's actually got he turns into like an action star badass in this one. He's like doing his stunts, but he starts out as a lawyer. And I think it's called The Firm.
Oh, The Firm.
Yeah.
He's in a ton of movies.
Born on the 4th of July. That could have been a good one to do for the 4th of July.
Well, I've never even heard of this movie.
You haven't heard of this one?
No.
This is one where he goes to war and he loses his legs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my bad. I probably should have told you about this one.
The ratings are actually pretty, they're okay. But Top Gun Maverick. Dude, it's just nice to see a sequel perfectly done.
Yes.
Because normally when they do these like legacy sequels, like of a Top Gun 80s action movie, that's honestly not that good of a movie, but people are huge fans of it because they've grown up with it and it's just Tom Cruise and it's cool, fighter pilot, American stuff. So it's cool. So normally when you do a legacy sequel, you see they're just mainly showing you remember how badass the old one was?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the whole thing is just like, remember this? This is so much fun. This movie, they tie it still to the original, but with just nice little tasteful nods where it's just, it's not like it's like in your face. Remember the old one? They obviously give you a lot of the same type of scenes and give you some callbacks, but they elevate them to where it's not just a pointless, look at this. It's actually meaningful to the story.
No, they pulled it off to where it's really not corny at all.
No.
It definitely, they hit their target for what they were going for. No pun intended.
Nice. There we go. Even the way that they shot it, the cinematographer, he said he wanted it to feel like you're in the Top Gun world where the sun is always setting. Like in the first Top Gun, when they're on the aircraft carrier, the sun's always setting. When they're on base, the sun's always setting.
Mm-hmm.
Except when in the skies, it's a bright full day. But it just looks like you're in the Top Gun world. And they even had a callback too, because whenever I think it's the scene we just watched before we started recording from the original Top Gun when they mentioned Penny Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not in that scene actually. I could be wrong. But there's a scene where Tony Scott uses a lot of these light through the blind shots. So they're in an office, but the sun's coming through the blind, so you see it on their face. They use that in this movie too. Whenever he's talking to, I think his name's Admiral Kane.
Okay,
it's Ed Harris's character. Anyway, they had a callback to that where they shot through the blinds. The sun's coming through the blinds, so it looks similar.
Oh, yeah.
So he just did these things to make it feel like it's a Top Gun movie.
Yeah,
they also even used because in the original Top Gun they use this filter that because usually when you shoot with the lens, sometimes the sun's too bright, so your camera sensor just overexposes and it's just too bright for the actual sensor to read what's going on.
Okay.
And so what they use is these things called ND filters, Well, all it does is just lowers the light intake into the sensor. So what they did in the original Top Gun is they used this like gradient one to where the top is darker than the bottom. So like it starts off like a sunglass, like it's almost like sunglasses for a camera. So it starts off heavy and then drips down, which is why in the first Top Gun you get to see like when they show the sky's like dark and it gets brighter as you get down. So they mimic that again still. So they just used all the same looks of the old Top Gun to bring it back to this one. So again, calling it back in a nice way to where you just feel like it's Top Gun still, you know? And then tying it back to the original too with the story, because the character from the original Top Gun, Maverick, he's not like, there's still growth he can do from the first movie. Like he wasn't a complete character at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
He lost Goose. That really wasn't like a huge thing in the first one. Like, of course it's hard for Tom Cruise to go through that, but you don't really feel it as much in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But now in this movie, you get to actually see what that actually did to him. Like losing his best friend as co-pilot in a thing that he was like in the plane that he was in. It's like, that's got to hit you pretty hard.
Yeah.
And so now they finally are diving into like the effects of what that did to Maverick as a character. So again, calling it back to the original. So they just do these tasteful things to build off the original one in a much better way.
So on that, I do like, again, first off, doing a sequel like this, I think it's like 34 years later. Because the first one came out in 1986. I think it's 34, maybe 35.
It's definitely, it's somewhere around 30 years. That's correct.
I do like Pete Mitchell in this one because it's kind of showing that in the first one, he wasn't just like some cocky guy that you weren't necessarily like supposed to like, or maybe I'm saying that wrong. In the first one, like he's just very cocky, and it seems like all the decisions he makes, it's because he's like kind of saying like F you to this, like whatever. In this one, he is like, he's grown up and he's not even trying to be cocky. He's just like being honest to what he believes in as far as like what a fighter pilot should be doing.
He's still Maverick.
Yeah, he's still Maverick. But I think it's like trying to show the audience like, no, like he was never supposed to be like a dickhead. This dude literally just believes that like if you're up there and you're flying as fast as you are, like it's literally just supposed to be reflexes.
Yeah.
And the reflexes that you have are based on like kind of what you believe in. Like, dude, no, I got to go fast here because it's the only way we get out of here alive.
Yeah, don't think.
All just surviving. It's all just survival instincts. So in the first movie, like you do like him because he's like flashy and cocky and all that.
And really good.
And really good. But I don't know, like in the second one, he's just like, no, like I'm really not trying to be a jerk about it. Like this is just what I believe in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of refreshing that while he's sad about what happened to Goose, and I think, of course, like he regrets that it happened, I don't think it changed anything on like how he believes you should fly.
Well, I think it does change because throughout the movie, he's good. Like kind of what I was saying, tying into the original, because of Goose's death, he's so hard on the pilots because he's experienced loss at the highest level of his partner. So that's why he's super tough on them, I think. Because like in the first movie, he's not really tough on anybody else, but because of Goose's death, now he's really tough on these pilots. Like,
well, there is that change, but he's still preaching to them like you can't think.
Right.
Like you just got to get up there and like literally just react, and you got to try and think ahead as much as you can, even though you're going as fast as you can. Which is why, honestly, like I do enjoy. I feel like whenever I watched this the first time, everybody was just saying like, "Oh, Glenn Powell's character, Hangman, he's just the new Iceman, Val Kilmer." No, he's not.
I mean, he is in a sense, but not exactly.
He's Maverick.
Yeah. Oh, true. Right.
He's literally Maverick.
Yes, you're right.
He's cocky, but he's also the best. He understands the mission completely.
He's risky.
Yeah, he's risky. And yeah, I mean, he's just, even in the sense of like, in the original, like Maverick is the one that messes with his instructor before the class starts.
Right.
And then when he like gets to the classroom, and he's like, oh my God, whenever his instructor walks in,
the girl.
Same exact thing with Glenn Powell's character, Hangman. Like he throws Maverick out of the bar, and then the next day realizes that the guy he threw out of the bar is now his instructor.
Yep.
He's a mirror of
That's true.
Tom Cruise and Glenn Powell. Like those two characters that's who he is.
Glenn Powell's character is a great character because he's the Iceman to Rooster.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the Tom Cruise. Or he's the Maverick to Maverick because that's old Maverick.
Yeah.
Like the risky young pilot that doesn't give a fuck, is willing to take risk and, kind of sacrifice lives if he has to, because he feels like, That's the mission. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what it takes to get the mission. Yeah.
This is what we signed up for. That's the old Maverick. So he's having to like, Maverick's having to compete against his old self essentially through Glenn Powell, and then Rooster's having to compete against his like Iceman type character. Mm-hmm. So just a great, deep, multi-layered character, which is just, great. Again, it's a great sequel for that.
Which is pretty cool considering like when they were doing the tryouts, auditions.
Yeah.
When they were doing the auditions for this, it came down to 3 guys. I forget who the third one is, but it was pretty much Miles Teller and Glenn Powell going for the role of Rooster. And Tom Cruise he just said like he had a better presence with Miles Teller, better chemistry.
And closer to Goose. He looks like Goose.
He does look a lot more like Goose.
Like, I don't know, Glenn Powell with the mustache wouldn't resemble Goose.
No. He's got the blonde hair, I guess, but
yeah. His face is too like structured.
Yeah.
He's got a sharp face kind of.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't
but
really.
Even after the audition he had with Tom Cruise, everybody in production was like, no, like we got to figure out a way to get Glenn Powell in this movie. So they wrote the Hangman in there.
That's good.
And then they did let Miles Teller. He was the only one that got to pick out his what are they called?
Call signs.
Their call signs. Yeah. So
he
Miles Teller was the one that was just like, oh, it's got to be Rooster.
Yeah, cool.
Like, my dad was Goose.
That's nice. And then also being a sequel, they're being honest to the age of the actors now. Mm-hmm. The story is essentially about Tom Cruise having to overcome his age and prove the fact that I keep saying Tom Cruise, that Maverick can prove the fact that he's still, even though he's aging and the world is catching up to him with like new technology and fighter pilots are going to be non-existent because we're going to have AI computers flying these fighter pilots to be all drones. So it's like Maverick's attempt to prove that he can survive through the changing world. He still has a little bit left in the tank to push and to do good things in the world through his skills, which is kind of pretty close to home for Tom Cruise, a 6-year-old man doing his own stunts, still pushing the movies. Like people could say, hey man, you're old, it's time to hang it up. But he's like, no, I got more left in the tank and I'm willing to continue to push and lead the movie industry in the way that he does. So like that theme is a double layered theme of like Tom Cruise in real life and also Maverick right now in this changing world. Yeah. So it's just a great story to pick for Tom Cruise because it just is so close to home for him.
Yeah. Tom Cruise, it's going to be impossible to get actual fighter pilots out here and like get real shots of planes flying around and doing all that. And Tom Cruise said, did somebody say impossible?
Yeah. He's always ready for the impossible missions.
No matter what. It's just Ethan Hunt buried deep, deep down there.
Yep. The last thing on making it a great sequel, just bringing it up a notch with the technology. Top Gun was a pretty evolutionarily advanced movie at the time with how they shot the scenes because nobody's ever seen fighter pilots in the air like that back in the 80s. So they figured out a way to film them in the air. The only thing they didn't film in the air is like all the cockpit scenes. They had to like just film them in a studio with like a backdrop so they could like simulate them being in a fighter pilot because the technology wasn't there to actually put a camera in the cockpits of these
in the
planes.
original?
In the original, yeah.
I thought you were talking about this one. I was like, buddy, I got news for you.
No. The original.
Yeah.
So they took it up a step, but in Tom Cruise fashion of like putting the camera in the cockpit, having them actually fly around, being able to have the new technology to actually film the planes in a much better way. So again, just taking the original and taking a huge step up to make a better movie.
Yes.
Which is what you want to do in a sequel. They like Tarantino said, if there's a trilogy out there or a sequel, you have to outdo the first one. That's the only reason why people are going to want to watch the second one is if you outdo it. You can't make a shittier second one. It's like, what the fuck? What was the point of that?
Yeah.
But this movie did it right. They stepped it up.
Dude, and again, thank God. Like it really was so refreshing because I went and saw this movie with my parents in theaters. And I was just so happy for them.
Yeah.
Because they're usually so disappointed whenever they go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is for them.
Everybody's father was hyped when he saw this. He's like, thank you. Yes.
Exactly. That's why I'm so happy that he did push the boundaries and that it paid off. Like, bro, it looks so awesome on that big screen.
Oh, yeah.
When you see, and you're like, those are real jets. They're flying those fucking things.
Yep. There ain't no CGI in this motherfucker.
I was like, oh my God, like they are really in the air for this.
Yeah.
And then, oh dude, and the backstory for just like how this movie got made, like the entire cast like had to go through Navy training for like 3 months. And intense training. Like they had to put in 3 months what most guys do in like 2 years. And so that's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And like when they're really like in that jet and they're flying, like, bro, when they're having to go up, I think I saw like with the whole gravity that they explained in the movie, how it's
the
like kind of
G-force.
weighing down on it. Yeah. They were saying it was like the equivalent of having a rhinoceros sit on your chest.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's literally what it is.
That these movie stars had to actually go through that, because that's what it takes to make a Tom Cruise film.
Yep. That's probably why he wants Glenn Powell to take over for him in the Mission Impossible series if they decide to remake him or whatever. He said, I'll only let Mission Impossible continue if Glenn Powell agrees to be it, because Glenn Powell probably proved himself in this by, he's like, fuck yeah, I'll fucking get in that fighter pilot, let's go. And then he learned all the tactics, and they did, again, like you said, months of training to make it believable of like them being actual pilots in the jet. Yeah. I was kind of thinking, I wonder if it'd be hard to act when you have, so you're training with real military fighter pilot guys who are actually badass. Yeah. And so you have to be in the cockpit, right? Because you're not in the driver's seat. The pilot's in the driver's seat. But you have to like pretend like you're doing all the moves behind the real guy that's fucking doing it. You're like, dude, I feel like a fucking pussy. I can't do this. So I wonder if it was like a little difficult to act where you kind of feel fake in that cockpit pretending like you're doing it. But again, when the camera's on, it's probably you just kind of drop all that and
I really don't think like I think the pilots probably have some respect for the fact that they are flying around and putting these actors like through some real turmoil up there. Yeah. And these actors are like, dude, fuck it. Like, keep going. Like, I got to get this right. Because that was the other thing, was that the way that it was set up in these jets was that like, because they had all the cameras in there and the actors were just up there by themselves with the cameras, they had to learn how to do lighting, editing. They had to figure out sound. Like they had to learn how to do everything. So they were essentially, they were the director of themselves when they were up in the cockpit. Yeah,
they taught them all how to operate the camera so that way they can get all the settings right and click record and make sure they get their takes.
So what they're doing is pretty badass.
I think they filmed like over 800 hours of footage of them in the cockpit, and they can only use like a very small percentage of it.
Really?
Yeah. Because, you can only do like a certain long, like a flight for a certain amount of time, and then you got to take a break and then check the footage probably and see what was up. And so it took them forever to film all that stuff. 800 hours of footage.
800?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean, that's days and days and days of being in a cockpit recording yourself. So there's also a lot of pilots too, so it got split up between them all, but still 800 hours of footage you have to go through to get the best takes. And and honestly, like, sure, there's a lot of scenes of them in the cockpit, but it's not that much. It's not 800 hours worth of shit. It's only like probably cumulative like 30 minutes maybe of cockpit footage, maybe more. I don't know, but it's definitely not a lot compared to how much they film. So it's just, it's cool that they actually had the actors go in there and learn it and had to be up in that cockpit for many hours, work days in the cockpit. Yeah. But all right, so the opening scene, what a fucking banger way to open this movie. It's almost like a short film almost with the way they shoot. Like it's its own little compiled scene that just has its own little story. And it's just, it lets you know who Maverick is as a person. Yeah. Essentially, because here, let's just pull it up and break it down. So when the scene starts, you understand the stakes very clearly of what's going on. Like they reiterate it so many times that if he doesn't hit Mach 10, the program's going to get canceled. And Tom Cruise is basically going to be out of a job. He's out of the Navy. So stakes are set. We know what's up. And they also reiterate so many times that only go Mach 10. Not Mach 10.1, not 10.2, Mach 10. This guy is, whoever this guy is to him, I don't know, partner in crime, I don't know. Whatever he is, he tells him, dude, only Mach 10.
Mach 10? Let's give Mach 10.
And I love how they shoot this word, like the planes coming out on the procedure stuff, because it's almost like sci-fi-like. It's like a sci-fi movie, sort of. Kind of putting on like a spacesuit. Yeah. With the smoke coming down below the plane. Kind of the color, he's like kind of greenish, like it's in space. The lighting on his face is very space-like.
So, wait, what the hell has he been doing this whole time to where he's allowed to fly this?
Yeah, right. These power, so like the power of the plane here, how it's taking off, and plus you see the concern on everybody's face a little bit.
We are ready for taxi.
you kind of feel the risk and the tension building of like what this is about to be. And then also with how it's kind of sci-fi-esque, with how like that shot's kind of like a sci-fi-esque kind of shot, military grade type shot. So you realize like, okay, this really is some untested shit that they're about to do. Like what the hell? Like this is some secret underground military operation that like we don't know what the fuck this is. It was new technology, so we're like, damn. And plus, I mean, the average viewer may not know like Mach 10, but that's an insane speed.
Yeah.
What is that? How much is Mach 10 like in miles per hour? 7,672 miles an hour is Mach 10. 7,000 miles an hour? Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's just a huge feat.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay. So as this is starting to set up, you know, the procedure's going smoothly, but tension's still building because like I was saying, the concern on everybody's face and the kind of the sci-fi-esque look to it all. It's not normal for a Top Gun movie to be all sci-fi-esque. So you're kind of like, damn, all right, tension's kind of building.
It's showing that Maverick's still with the shits.
Yep. And so they come here. There's this clean shot of the takeoff. Everything's been going smoothly, but then it gets interrupted by this car driving by because now the tension breaks because it's like, okay, now we know it's here. Ed Harris, the guy that was going to shut him down, is here. So now it's like kind of a ticking time bomb. I'm like, oh shit, you know, there's their problem in this scene.
Yeah.
The runway and skies are yours.
Rear Admiral Chester Kane.
I know what happens to everyone else if I don't.
All these close-ups on their face just makes you feel the weight of the scene of like how big this decision is. Everybody looks nervous, but they also look like they're admiring what he's doing. It's like you realize the risk being taken. Like they're kind of nervous, but they're also admiring that the fact that Maverick's willing to do this risky deal to try to reach Mach 10 when they've never even reached Mach 9 yet. And I love this shot coming up. The Admiral against everything watches the takeoff and Maverick gives him, boom, he gives him like a fuck you dust slap in the face. This kind of lets you know Maverick is still Maverick. Like he's still fucking with command. He's, you know, blowing a giant dust cloud into the Admiral's face.
Oh, he just knocked the roof off.
Yeah. This shot right here coming up, that right there just kind of makes you feel the awe of what Tom Cruise or what Maverick's doing in this scene. Like that's just like a Star Wars-esque shot. Like it looks like he's on a different planet flying a spaceship, you know? So you just realize Maverick's really pushing the limits. You know, we're in space and like, it seems like it's a space sci-fi movie, you know? So Maverick's really pushing the edge.
It really is. It was just a bold decision for him to open up the movie this way. Because I feel like, I don't know. It's just the introduction of, for instance, like I'm trying to take my dad to go see this movie because he's hyped for the sequel.
Right.
And for him to open it up this way, it's like, oh, damn, is this just going to be a completely different movie? Is it really not going to be the same at all?
Yeah.
And then so he opens it up this way. Like you're saying, he's just kind of built like an astronaut, looking like he's about to go to another planet.
Yep.
It just kind of looks like a Star Wars movie.
Right, it does.
And then like after all this is said and done, it's just Tom Cruise really just showing like Tom Cruise is very impressed by like how the military is doing. Like as far as like the US troops, I think he's always been impressed by like how they are always pushing the boundaries of like what they're supposed to be doing and like how we're always trying to stay one step ahead. So this is just him like kind of showing like very impressed with how they go about that.
Yeah.
But then as soon as this is over, Tom Cruise is like, let's bring it back.
Yep.
Let's go back to Top Gun.
I feel like I feel like they let you know it's Top Gun because right before it, you know, before the scene plays out, you get to see the classic, the aircraft carrier title sequence that looks just like the original with the same music, bringing you back into the vibes of the old one. So you might feel safe. They put that in there to make you feel like let the old timers feel safe, like it's still Top Gun before they put this sci-fi.
We're gonna come back to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so now we're about to reach the climax of the scene when he's about to reach Mach 10. Instead of jumping around back to the characters at the base that are monitoring everything else, they just keep it in the cockpit with just like some simple shots. It's just Tom Cruise's face and the speedometer telling you how fast he's going. So like that tension just builds because like this is it. This is the climax. They just keep you in the cockpits to like lock you into the tension here.
Windshield hot caution.
Things are starting to go badly too, so you're kind of like, oh fuck, can he make it? I mean, the whole plane's getting red hot. You're like, dude. That shot just bring you into the speed of like what he's actually doing. Boom, he got it.
Put that in your Pentagon budget.
Way too excited. And then now we know Maverick's still the same. He's always going to push it. And all those quick cuts just, make you have the sense of a crash, right? All the quick cutting and bright flashing lights just make you feel like if something, that was fucked up. We broke the plane, so that's just a way they do it to make you understand the crash.
Maverick.
And then this shot, again, kind of sci-fi like, just to remind you that, yes, Tom Cruise really is kind of like a spaceman. Like, he's pushing the envelope so much. It also reminds you he is the best pilot there is still today.
Mhm.
Like, despite his age, he still has the best skills in the fighter pilot world. And this shot just gave you like the outer worldly thing of how he's just like, again, pushing it way beyond what everybody else is doing. And then you get like the joke when he like walks into the diner here and like the kid thinks he's an actual spaceman. It's like, where am I? Like, what city am I in? He's like, Earth, little kid, So it's just a joke to confirm that, yes, Maverick is going so insanely far in the new technology and pushing himself that he basically is a spaceman.
Mm-hmm.
So just a brilliant way to open the scene. But again, within the story, it just reminds you that Maverick's still the same. Like, he is pushing the envelope, but he's still being very risky. He's the same guy, Just a brilliant way to open up the scene. And then after that, they decide to shut down the program anyway because, like, fuck you, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But then he gets to go to Top Gun. And then just talking about the sequel, as a fan, you've always wanted to see Maverick as a Top Gun instructor.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like you wanted to see in the beginning. They kind of alluded to it. He was it for he said for 2 months, 30 years ago, he was a Top Gun instructor.
Well, he says it at the end of the original film.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy that was leading the mission for all of them after, Tom Cruise like saves the day in that film. He's like, what do you want to do now? And he's like, well, I've always wanted to be, or I've been thinking about like a Top Gun instructor. The Admiral's just like, God be with us all.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so then he gets reinstated to Top Gun. And with this whole conversation with Kane and him, he's telling him that pilots like you are about to end. Like, you're going to be done for, buddy. Like, sorry, but the world's catching up to you. Which, again, that kind of just confirms that theme I was talking about earlier in the episode, where it's about Maverick having to push the envelope and can he still stay relevant in this new world with technology? Like, is a pilot still worth it or not? So it's kind of like a man versus machine type story, where can Maverick overcome the fact that the world doesn't want him anymore? They just want to improve technology and keep pilots out of the Navy and the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
So, now we know what the story's about. And then
interesting that he gives him that whole spiel, but then he's like, but we actually really need fighter pilots right now for a very like secret mission.
Yep.
It's super hard and literally only a man can get it done.
Yep.
So it's just like, yeah, okay. Like,
you still
dickhead. You still need me.
Yep.
You might not want me, but you need me.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they tell him what the mission is, and they have to bomb an enemy's nuclear facility to take it out so that they can't have nuclear bombs. Dun dun dun. Propaganda? Question mark.
Foreshadowing? What does Tom Cruise know?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What kind of military clearance is Tom Cruise getting that he's just years ahead?
This is literally the plot line of 2025.
It just happened.
Crazy. That's where you wonder, like, because just conspiracy here. Give me a second. They say that the CIA is embedded in Hollywood because they want to direct the films and do propaganda, basically, like, for the American people, and they kind of are involved. That's confirmed. The CIA and the intelligence communities are involved in entertainment because that's how you corrupt the minds of the people, right?
That's how you do some good old-fashioned brainwashing.
Exactly. So you wonder, like, did they know this would happen at some point? So they just gave you a story to where you like are kind of like, what do they call it? Oh, predictive programming is what they call it. The conspiracy theorists call it predictive programming, where like you're more okay with something because you've already seen it before in a movie. Like, that was actually pretty cool. Hell yeah, let's go.
They got us.
It's just hilarious that like literally the plot line of Top Gun Maverick happened in real life.
Yeah.
Just like literally this week of recording, or last week, I guess. I don't know, but hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, but now we know it's like it also starts to set the stakes now of because there's no actual villain in the movie. The villain, air quote, is just the enemy, like a unanimous country. People say it's clearly Iran because that's what every single president's been saying. They can't have nuclear bombs for the past, X amount of years.
Yeah.
So, but they don't, they keep it unbiased. They don't tell you what country they're trying to take out the uranium facility is. And so, but then you get this. So that's just the enemy is like this unnamed country. So it's not really a villain you can like put up against because we don't really care because we don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
So they know like we're not going to build on this one country. It's not going to be America versus a country. It's going to be instead Maverick and a bunch of different conflicting things against him. In this scene, we find out that the conflicting thing with Maverick is he's having to overcome command and having to push the limits like we were talking about. And can he still stay relevant in this new technology world? And then it's also Rooster, who's on his crew. That's somebody who holds him back to his past with Goose, who he still hasn't let go from. Like that's still the opening of the scene. I mean, the first shot you see of Maverick before he ever goes to the U.S. base when he's riding his motorcycle in Tom Cruise fashion, looking like a cool badass. You see like still pictures of Goose hanging up and he still remembers Goose. And to this day, he's still thinking about what happened. And so that's another opposing force now is like the past of him losing Goose is now present through Rooster he has to overcome the guilt of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then also has to let go and let go of the fact that he's been controlling Rooster this whole time. Because we find out later in the movie that
set him back 4 years.
Yeah, pulled his papers. He didn't feel like he was ready. But that's really only because he wasn't willing to let go and let Rooster risk his life. Like he's going to do everything he can, even if it's wrong, and not what Rooster wants. He's going to hold him back from what he wants just to try to keep him safe because he feels so guilty. So now we know the story is also kind of like, can Maverick let go of the past and let Rooster thrive in this mission, which is a huge problem point throughout the whole movie.
Well, and can Rooster actually like prove himself? Because that's why it's kind of nice to have Hangman there. Hangman is literally saying, he was like, Rooster, your problem is that like you just don't go fast enough. Like you think way too hard, and you can't do that when you're up there. Because like, yeah, they call me Hangman because maybe I get people killed, but like I don't know. At least you know what to expect from me. Like everybody is always just waiting for you to like make a move, but you just never do.
Yeah.
Like that's for sure something that you can't do on a mission like this.
Yeah.
So it's not, like I think there is like the level of Maverick was trying to like save him and protect him. But now that we've gotten to this point, like it is just a known thing that Rooster like probably wasn't actually ready.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, Maverick believes he wasn't ready. And we see that because we do know that Rooster's not ready because throughout the movie, Rooster, his biggest thing is he's not willing to take risks.
Yeah.
Like he's not a risky fighter pilot.
He's way too hesitant.
Yeah. He's always thinking heavy about can I get this through? Can I do it? He's driving slow or flying slow. Again, Rooster needs to overcome the risks in this movie. Like that's his kind of character arc in the movie.
Yeah.
But then we also just get another reminder that Maverick is the top guy still. He's still the best pilot because when they do brief him on the mission, he like exactly explains what needs to happen. Probably what they already know, but it's just, he's like, without even being briefed, he's like, yeah, we're going to do this. It's going to be hard here. We got this here. He's just explaining the risk and like how to actually successfully pull off the mission. And so now we just realize that, Maverick still is the best there is. Like, even though he's an old man, he still is the best.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to see the new love interest pop in, Penny, who's a good callback to the OG because she was just one line mentioned in the original.
Yeah.
Just literally, Goose just references her once.
Just the Admiral's daughter, Penny?
Yep.
And one Admiral's daughter, Penny Benjamin.
And so, good for the fans. Bring it back. If you're a true fan, you would remember Penny, and then you're like, oh shit, there she is. So it's just a good callback and they're also the same age, which is great to have as a love interest in a story where it's a 50-year-old man. Please, let's get her a 50-year-old woman. Let's not do Mission Impossible 8 where the love interest is like a 20-year-old girl. Oh, by the way, this is just such a sidebar. This has nothing to do with Maverick, but that actress in Mission Impossible 8, she's like 40.
Damn.
But she plays 20. Like she can look like a 20-year-old.
Good for her.
That's why it doesn't work. Like she's actually is of age of Tom Cruise. Like it makes sense, but the way they play her, she's like a 20-year-old girl. So that's why it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
But in this movie works great because they both look like they're the same age. So the love interest is nice. We want to see them get together.
That girl was 40?
Yes.
Holy shit, bro.
Hold on, let me see. I don't know her name. Haley Atwell, 43. Right? Crazy.
Bro.
That's why that love interest doesn't work. But this movie works like great because they're the same age.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible watching Tom Cruise like go get her.
Yep. And then in that scene when he's talking to Penny, he's telling her like it's over for me, like I'm no longer gonna be a pilot. I'm just instructing Top Gun. Like I'm done. So now we see his doubts of, he's starting to doubt the fact that he can actually push the envelope still. Because Penny's like, oh come on, we've seen this before. Like you always get in trouble and then Iceman makes a call and you're back in the air flying. Like this happens all the time. Like you're fine. He's like, no, I don't think so. I think it's over for me now.
He'll start it out.
No, I think this is it.
You get yourself in trouble. Iceman makes a call, and you're back in the air.
So he's starting to feel the doubt. So now it sets, the stakes are now higher because Maverick actually doesn't even believe that he can actually still push the envelope anymore. But it's kind of cool at the bar. Another sign that Maverick is past his prime is that whenever he's sitting at the bar, Glenn Powell, what's his character's name? Hangman. So you've only seen Maverick and Penny talking at the bar, and then Hangman goes, "Look who it is," and you're like, "Oh, they recognize Maverick," but it's the other pilot's coming in. Yeah. So it's a little moment there where it's like the pilots don't even recognize him anymore. Mm. Like you see, he is the top dog, but he's past his prime. They don't even know him. So you're kind of, because you expect it to be Maverick, like look who it is, the big star of the movie, but they don't even care about him. They don't know who he is. They kick him out of the bar, right? So just another reminder that Maverick is past his prime. And then of course, whenever Rooster walks in and starts playing old school Goose music, on the piano, singing. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Even punches in the jukebox 86, call back to 1986 when the original Top Gun was released.
Yep.
Just little shit like that.
Yep. Just great little Easter eggs in there. Yeah. But we see the real toll of what Goose's death has done to him, because he's outside of the bar, not doing it for anybody, just so emotional watching Goose play the song he watched his best friend play.
Yeah.
Whenever Rooster was a little boy. So
I bet when Miles Teller saw this, the final product, because I don't know if Miles Teller learned how to play the piano for that specific scene or if he already did, but regardless, that Miles Teller probably gave it his all in that bar scene, and to him, it was so much fun. And it was such a badass scene. He was probably expecting kind of the same feel that Goose got whenever he did it in the original Top Gun. Mm-hmm. And then when Miles Teller saw it in real life, he was like, dude, fuck, they made it so sad.
Yeah, and I'm a dick to him.
Yeah, I was having so much fun, on that piano. We were all having so much fun. Little did they know that Tom Cruise is just giving the performance of a lifetime.
Yeah, just the Hans Zimmer music coming in.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's funny. Then so after the bar scene, when he meets Penny, then the training starts, and now you just get to see some fun, badass, just fighter pilot dogfight shit with Tom Cruise still kicking ass. Yeah. Beating the fuck out of the pilots, being super risky. You guys are not even close to touching my level. Just kill, just murdering them. So you just see how badass Tom Cruise is. But then you get the badass scene with Rooster versus Maverick, where they're spiraling. And again, another callback to the original, whenever he inverts to talk to Rooster. That's a callback to the first movie when they flipped off the Russian pilot. Yep. Him and Rooster doing that, taking a Polaroid of it. So fun little callback, but then it ends up being in tension because of the dogfight. It's great to have that as the climax of the scene, because all the dogfights are just showing Maverick being a badass, but then in the final one, there's actually some emotional weight because there's actually real tension between the two characters of them battling it out. It's not just about, they're not trying to win the dogfight. They're trying to beat each other emotionally because of their past and how they feel about each other. And so Maverick, though, it's kind of a cool touch that Maverick puts himself in a bad spot to get targeted by Rooster because he pulls out first. Maverick's the risky one normally. He wouldn't ever do that normally. But because he's with Rooster, he pulls out early because he doesn't want to risk Rooster's life, which then puts him in a bad spot. But he ends up, because he's still so good, kills Rooster anyway. Does a fucking, stops the plane, gets right in front of him, killed. So, just a great scene there. And then at the end of that, we find out actually what Tom Cruise did, pulled his papers, like we talked about earlier. Yeah. We now realize, oh shit, Maverick kind of fucked him over. That's
4 years.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
So now we see how Maverick's not letting go of the past has hurt Rooster and the one person he actually cares about the most. Because, in that opening scene when we see the picture of Goose, we also see the picture of Rooster. So it's like he's been keeping up with Rooster, throughout his life because he feels kind of responsible for him as like a outside father figure because his father died while they were working together. And then of course the mission gets announced to the team. Maverick pushes them super hard. So now we see just how hard the mission actually is because he like explains the whole like how fast you have to go between these like small ravines so low, which is like so low. So it's pretty hard to like maneuver that. Yeah. Maverick's main priority is like safety with the guys. Like he's pushing them so hard. Like you have to move fast, but you have to be safe. I'm not going to lose any of y'all. Like, do it right and don't risk yourself. So that's kind of him not willing to let go of what pilots would do on their own accord. He wants to have the control over it, just like he had control over Rooster. And then, we also see that Rooster's pretty risk adverse, like we were saying. Like that's what he has to overcome is that Rooster has to overcome the risk of needing to take some risk.
Yeah, because it's interesting that Rooster, in the first go round, he's the first pilot that completes the whole course, but he's like over a minute late in doing it.
Right.
And so his argument is like, all right, well then it just turns into a dogfight. And it's like, well, you've proven that like you are way too much of an overthinker to even survive a dogfight. Mm-hmm. Like there's just no way you're going to be able to do it because like you just don't have the right instincts. Like, you were thinking way too hard. And the moment you start thinking, you're shot down and you're dead. Mm-hmm. So like you in a dogfight is not the solution to the problem.
Right. Yeah. You're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
You still got a lot to grow. So now at this point in the movie, we have an understanding of like what the story is coming to. It's just a great way to set the story up. We now know Rooster, his whole character arc that he has to overcome in the movie. So we're like ready to watch that unfold. We understand the forces of antagonism against Maverick now. So like that's what he's gonna have to overcome. Plus the fights are really awesome. So it's really entertaining as we just kind of go through the whole training montages of them doing it. We get to see the action of, the new technology of them and the fighter pilots, the pilots being badasses. So now it's just cool. We have the story set, laid, and we also know we're safe in Tom Cruise's Top Gun world because we're getting some cool ass fighter pilot scenes.
Yes, thank you, Tom Cruise. For
that. Yeah.
Really fun.
And then, now the next scene is whenever he actually goes up to Iceman and meets him, and they talk, and Iceman's typing on his computer because he can't talk.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to the legend.
R.I.P. Val Kilmer.
And so, that's just like kind of an obvious way. It's not bad, obviously. It's not a bad, obvious thing, but just know that, again, Tom Cruise has to let go. We get confirmed that Tom Cruise's biggest character problem right now is to let go of the past. And so that sets it up there, and it gives like a good emotional cameo of a classic character in the original franchise, that it's not just a corny, like, oh, look, there's Iceman. It's like the actual meaning to the story of why he goes and meets Iceman, because Iceman's been the one that's protecting him the whole time.
Yeah.
But he tells him to let go. So now the next scene, it shows Tom Cruise's first attempt at like trying to actually lead his team as opposed to control his team. Because the whole time when they're in the dogfights and everything else, he's like really controlling over them. He like is super strict on their flying patterns and everything else. And so with his first attempt to let go, you get like the dogfight football scene with everybody shirts off in the sun setting and they're playing, sweating, thirst trapping everybody.
Yep. Top Gun World.
Top Gun World, again, calling back to the original. But they do that scene in such a better way because the original scene is just like them playing volleyball, and it's really just like a thirst trap type 80s vibe where just guys with their shirts off, sweating, jacked, looking good.
Yeah.
So it's for the ladies there. But they do it again because, again, classic, doing a sequel, got to tie back to the original. They actually add a point to it to where now you see Tom Cruise is truly leading the team by bonding with them and being a true leader that's trying to get the team to have a good bond together and be friends and get them closer. So it's like his first attempt at trying to be a better man and trying to let go of the past. Like, okay, I am being controlling. Let them have fun. And you just get to experience their time together as a team.
Yeah.
So we start to see Maverick kind of start to change. Like he kind of understands it. Then we get Old People Love after that with Penny. Classic. Honestly, I'm so thankful. I was like, because I kind of forgot what happened, but like when he's laying her down on the bed, it's like, all right, you don't need to see old people have sex.
Don't do it.
They cut through it. And it's fine.
Yeah, you just get some nice pillow talk.
But again, even though it's not bad, and I don't think they should have cut it. I'm not saying they need to cut it from the movie, but as an audience, whenever Penny, because in that scene she walks into her house, but leaves the door open for Maverick. He's kind of like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
So the audience knows what's going to happen. So you really don't have to show them actually like kissing.
Yeah.
Like the audience knows it. So like That's just kind of more a critique on like sex scenes in movies. This one did it tastefully, thankfully, because of old people.
No, I still, whether it's young people, old people, or really, really old people, or anyways, doesn't matter what it is. Like I myself, like I just don't need to see like a long drawn out sex scene.
Yeah.
Like I'm good on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, we get it. We understand what's going on there.
Yep.
Like we're good.
Yeah, we know.
We're good.
It's intimate. We don't got to get in that intimate moment.
Just cut to the pillow talk. Like cut to Tom Cruise laying her down on the bed and pillow talk. Very well done.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. It's, wasn't too bad when I saw it with my parents in the theaters.
Yeah.
Just
Yes. No, not uncomfortable.
nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Nice.
It's also kind of funny in that scene watching Maverick and Penny have to act like teenagers, like sneaking out because their parents came home early.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny little nod of like these old people like having to pretend like they're children, him having to climb out the window. But then him climbing out the window gets him caught by the daughter. And now that sets up another stake for Tom Cruise to where his daughter, Penny's daughter, tells Maverick, just don't leave her again or don't break her heart again.
Yeah.
So now we realize Tom Cruise's entire life with Penny has been they've got together. He's having to go off somewhere to go fight something and then never returns back to her.
Yeah.
So it's just this constant repetition of like letting her down. It's like at the end of this movie, can Tom Cruise actually stay with her? Can he commit to not letting her down or leaving her to risk his life for something?
Yeah. Can he stop being a dog?
Yeah, exactly. So now you got 3 opposing forces against Tom Cruise that he has to overcome, which is great for the rest of the movie to build on. You got love interest conflict, Rooster conflict, and then you got the command center or the command's conflict against Maverick and what he's doing. So again, setting it up great. So now it's back in the training. We've seen that the first training, nobody actually successfully did the mission. We never saw anybody successfully go through the little windy turns in the mountains on time yet. So you're like, damn, that was tough. And then now the next stage of the mission for training happens and it's even harder, but we've never seen anybody actually do the first one. So we're like, fuck, like how are they going to do this? They haven't even completed the first section of it. Now they're on to the next one, which is just way harder. So now the stakes get risen within the mission because it's like, holy fuck, how are they going to be able to do this? And then that also gives us like, because Maverick is starting to do better because he tells Penny in that last scene when he's with her, when they hook up, that, I promise I'm not going to leave you again. Like I'm serious this time. So he's starting to, and he also let the dogfight football happen. So he's letting the team bond. So you see him growing. But then right when he starts to like be on the upper trajectory of his path, Rooster comes in and directly confronts him about the past. He tells him like, basically blames him for having his father get killed. And he's like, my father trusted you. I'm not going to do the same mistake. So hitting Maverick right where it hurts, like right when he was about to overcome everything and starting on the right trajectory, Rooster just knocks him way back down. So it's going to be way harder for him to actually overcome the guilt because right when he was starting to let go, he gets heavily reminded and has to feel responsible for the goose's death.
Yeah.
To the son of the person that he feels guilty for taking his father's life.
And then is this also, has it happened yet? Or does it happen right after that with Rooster? That he goes and talks to John Hamm's character and John Hamm's character just tells him, he was like, your entire mission was to show him that this could be done. But all you've done is show them that it can't be done.
I don't know where it's at in the movie.
I feel like it's right after that because the guy who plays that character. Can you go look at the cast real quick?
Which guy?
The guy that tells him, he was like, you should really work on your timing.
Oh.
What's that guy's name?
This guy?
Charles
Parnell. Was that him who said it?
He's the one that tells him, he was like, dude, you got to work on your timing. Or like, hey, that was a rhetorical question.
Oh, you're right. Because in that scene, that's whenever they reprimand him for having, like, dude, you have to, like, because I think they just exploded the plane. Phoenix had to eject from a plane. They destroyed $1 billion plane. Yeah. And so, yeah. And then, like, now you have to give us every single detail of what you're doing in your day lesson plan in writing. Including the what they call it?
Like just how low the hard deck. Yeah. How low they're allowed to fly.
Yeah. And he's like, even that? He's like, yes, even that. He's like, okay, well, I'm requesting to lower the hard deck to 300 feet. Like, are you 5,300? Are you fucking crazy, Maverick? Yeah. We're about to kick you off the team. Like, you're requesting more? Like, and that's funny. And then we get, after that, Iceman dies. So it's another setback for Cruise with his pushing the envelope conflict of with command,
letting go,
because his own, well, not letting go, but just his like he has nobody to protect him anymore.
Yeah,
because that was the only way he was able to get back in the military and continue to push the envelope and be Maverick, because nobody else believes in him except for Iceman. Because Iceman actually flew with Maverick. He knows that he knows the Navy needs Maverick, because like he's the best pilot and is able to pull off these insane missions and teach the best of the best how to become better. And so his only lookout that believed in him is now gone, which then gets him replaced, right? He gets replaced
immediately.
Yeah.
John Hamm's like, I know this must be a really difficult time for you. You're also fired.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so then the next scene is Maverick, his like final chance to prove that he still has what it takes to lead the team and pilots are still important. He just launches up a F-16 and fucking, I guess I don't know what plane, F-18 maybe? Whatever plane they're flying this time.
Yeah.
Launches it up in the air successfully, does the time with everybody watching him.
And hits the target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hits a target by himself.
Mm-hmm.
By himself, bro. Did the whole mission by himself, basically. So, it also sows the seeds of belief in the actual crew, because there's like that whole principle where I think it was the one example in history is like the 4-minute mile. Like nobody ever believed that you could ever run like a human can never run a 4-minute mile. It's impossible. The first guy that ever did it, then like within like 3 months, 5 other guys did it.
Yeah.
So everybody had the ability. Those 6 people had the ability to actually do the 4-minute mile, but they just didn't believe that they actually could. So they never like pushed it. So then Tom Cruise lets them know like, hey, it's possible. Go do it. So it's just like a cool little moment there where he kind of lets everybody know what's up. And it's also like at his lowest too, Maverick's lowest, because it's just right after the scene where he realizes he can't. He realizes Rooster doesn't forgive him for what happened. And then also it's whenever Command fires him. So it's like at his lowest. So he's like, fuck, I got to do something here. So it's just like a good moment where we get to see him try to come back on that upswing again after just being let down twice. But then he gets the job. They're like, okay, well, if you can do it, then you're team leader. So then that's another setback for him, because right when he's with Penny, now he is set back from her relationship. Mm-hmm. He overcame the other two, or overcame one of them, but now he's set back on the Penny conflict, because, now he's going to have to leave Penny.
He's got to go. And
risk his life again and potentially never come back to her after he just made the promise. So it's kind of, again, the tension's building with the story. It's kind of evolving. And so now he becomes a team leader, selects Rooster as his wingman. So now that's his first step of trying to let go of Rooster. Like, can this work out for him despite everything? And then they do the mission, badass mission scene where they're just, flying through the radar, looking at the bombs, like all the riskiness, they're doing it pretty successfully. They get a mistake where the second pilot, his little laser beam's not working to lock on the target. So just miraculously, Rooster nails the fucking little 2 feet gap, whatever it is, with the bomb.
Oh, dude. Luke Skywalker, Star Wars, New Hope.
Yep.
Literally through and through.
Yeah, exactly. So now we start, and then that scene also lets us know that Rooster's starting to change now. He's starting to realize he has to stop thinking, and he has to start taking risks. Mm-hmm. Kind of a dumb decision for Maverick to pick Rooster, who's not proven himself to take risk, and he decides finally in the mission that he's going to take risk. Not that wise of a decision, but within the story of letting Maverick let go of Rooster, makes sense.
Letting him be his own man.
Yeah, it makes sense thematically, but just definitely would pick
Hangman was definitely the choice.
Yes, 1,000% Hangman was a choice. But again, we see that Rooster has what it takes. Like, he's taking some risks. That's awesome. And then we see Maverick sacrifice himself for the team because Rooster's under fire, about to get exploded. But then Maverick does a badass maneuver where he like brings his plane up and flares over the plane, so that way the targeting system gets distracted and hits one of the flares instead. And so, Maverick sacrifices himself because he's not willing to let Rooster die in this situation. He's giving up on Penny in this scene. See, the movie's so good because of the conflicting conflicts. There's like sacrifices he always has to make with one of the conflicts. So you're like kind of bought into everything he does because everything has like a weight to it and a consequence.
Yeah.
If there's nothing tying him back to the real world, the sacrificing yourself wouldn't be that big of a emotional deal, because it's fine if he dies in the movie because it's like, it's whatever. Like, he has nothing tying him back to the world. There's no really need for him to survive past this besides just wanting to live.
Yeah, he's got no family, like no kids to like really go back to. Like, nobody really knows about Penny.
Right. So that promise that we know about makes the sacrifice like, oh, fuck.
Poor Penny.
Yeah, poor Penny. He lied to Penny and is not going to come back to her. But then because Rooster has finally committed to not thinking and doing, he goes and saves Maverick instead and ends up getting shot down because of it. And then Maverick's pissed off because he's like, motherfucker, like I saved you. This is what the fuck. Now this is pointless, you dumbass. So that's great. And now this is kind of the scene where like Maverick's truly having to accept the fact that he let Rooster go, because he let Rooster go, let him be on the mission, let him decide what he wants to do, and has to let him take the risk of the mission. But by doing that, that also he's not allowed to control Rooster and what he's willing to do. Mm-hmm. So, Rooster coming back to save him, he's pissed off at him, but Rooster's like, you told me not to think. And he has nothing to say. He's like, fuck, you're right. This is, right now I am changing, so fuck, I guess you're right. I mean, you saved me, thank you. And then again, because it's a great sequel, they call it back to the OG when they go to that Russian base to steal an F-14 Tomcat, which is the same plane they flew in the original Top Gun movies. So it's just, again, a cool callback to see Tom Cruise back in the old school jet to escape. And you get to see some cool stuff with, how good of a pilot he is. Because again, it's not about the plane, it's about the pilot. In this old school generation, 30-year-old plane, it's able to beat these two top tier level new technology fighter jets. Yeah. He's able to beat them because he's just a better pilot and knows how to strategically maneuver around it.
Which one of them kind of showed, like, one of the enemy pilots does maneuver that even Maverick hasn't seen before. He's just like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What just happened? So it's like showing, like, don't totally underestimate your enemy, even if you're on America's side. Mm-hmm. Like they could just have like some sneaky pilot that's like capable of like doing some crazy stuff.
Right.
Which does happen.
Yep.
Like whenever they're going after him, and I don't even know, like he pretty much just stops his plane like completely and like does like a little flip, but not by the engine. Like it's literally just the way he stops it and turns the plane.
Yeah.
But like clearly was doing it on purpose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To where even Maverick is just like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So, they're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also in that dogfight, again, going back to the themes and the conflict of the movie, it's Maverick's last and final test if he's willing to let Rooster go. Because if he gets in a dogfight, they're going to risk their lives, and he's going to risk Rooster's life. Rooster may get killed in this dogfight, but Rooster's willing to do it. Mm-hmm. So if he's willing to do it, if you're going to truly let him go, let him make the decision, and then y'all both go in the dogfight together. Yeah. So again, he changes officially with Maverick changes officially with Rooster, where he's like, fine, I'll let you go and we'll dogfight this out.
Yeah, just like him and his old man.
Yep, so it finishes that arc of the story of that conflict. And it also, because of the mission went successfully, that arc of the movie's finished now where Tom Cruise or Maverick proved himself that he could actually, pilots are still needed. Mm-hmm. Like maybe a computer flown drone couldn't have done the things that Maverick did. Like it's not a smart strategic thing, but because Maverick doesn't
the
think,
computers let him down. Think about the mission. I mean, the laser had nothing to do with the pilot in the back, that like he didn't mess it up. He was just like, dude, the laser's going crazy. I've literally lost control. It's just spinning around.
So the human element was able to get the target on track.
Yeah.
And so boom, the man versus the machine, the human, can he still stay relevant in this new time? Mm-hmm. That mission or that arc completes where Maverick realizes, yes, I can still do it. So again, that arc completes. And so now it's like the last conflict to wrap up is, can Tom Cruise get back to Penny? So that lets the tension still build of like, can they survive? Will they survive? Plus with like the Hans Zimmer music as they're like getting tracked down by the final plane. You just feel the emotional weight of it all as the music builds, and it's just classic Hans Zimmer style. And then Hangman comes in to save the day, and they land, and then all is well. Good old Top Gun ending where everybody's hugging it out on the aircraft carrier. What's also funny, I want to pull this up here. What's hilarious is that, so you notice here, whenever they're in the dogfight, it's very blue because they're in the sky, so it's going to look bluish. Mm-hmm. So it's still blue on the carrier, right? It's not super warm yet. It's a little bit, but it's still blue. So now they got to land and crash land on the carrier. Does the same flyby as the old school movie, you know, the callback again. So still kind of bluish. They land when he hops out of the plane. Now the sun's starting to set, and now we're back in Top Gun area, because you can't be on an aircraft carrier and not let it look like Top Gun. Yeah. So they bring you right back in the world where they just kind of cut it back to they bring the smoke back in so it looks misty. They can now make it look a little bit more warm. So you're like back on Top Gun carrier where it's old school, vintage, warm look. And then the sun just somehow starts to set, because again, it's Top Gun. The sun's always setting. Yeah. So it's just kind of funny that they just immediately cut you back into Top Gun and make you feel like you're in that world again. It's just hilarious.
Yep, you're about to get a lot of high fives, handshakes, and head nods.
Oh yeah. And then of course Maverick goes back to Penny at the end to where he did actually keep his promise where he came back to her. Now they can live happily ever after. So all these little conflicts that they build throughout it that stem from the original movie now build and complete in this perfect ending that makes you feel happy. You're like invested in the story. You feel good after the movie. Just an all around great experience and a great way to write this classic story again.
Yeah. Great send off. If they decide not to go with like another Top Gun movie,
They should, unless they do something better, they should leave it.
they should leave it. I think they should. I think it's good.
Yeah. Solid movie. It's also, I heard Ben Shapiro talking about it. It's kind of the first movie in a long time where it's a military movie that feels patriotic and also lets all the military men not be like victims or like of PTSD stuff, or like it's actually showing the cool and hardened people that enjoy what they do in the military. You don't really get that nowadays. It's always about like anti-war and that kind of stuff, or the soldiers being like Full Metal Jacket, just being killers, ruthless killers that are just bad people. And so they kind of give you a cool story because a lot of people in the military are just cool people that respect and feel honored for what they're doing, and they're hardened and are willing to do these things. So just cool to actually give some praise to the men and women that do this kind of stuff.
Shout out to our troops.
Freedom! All right. Shall we rate Top Gun Maverick?
We shall.
Let's do it. All right. What you got?
I'm giving it a 9.8 out of 10.
Boom.
It's a damn good film. Executed. I think everybody's probably very happy with how this turned out.
100%.
I would be. Acting 9 out of 10. Pretty much just perfect. Writing 10 out of 10. I think for a sequel and what they were going for, again, executed perfectly. Editing 10 out of 10. Cinematography, I mean, this really should be like an 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Enjoyability, 10 out of 10. Just a good, solid, like, just one of those movies where like, this is why I love movies. Like, this is why I enjoy it. So yeah, 9.8 out of 10, dude. God knows how many times I'm going to see this movie. This is probably like a once a year type film.
Oh yeah. I have a 9.4 out of 10. Acting, 8 out of 10. It's all very, very solid. That's not a discredit, but 8 out of 10. I think it's just really, really good. Writing, 9 out of 10. I think it's an exceptional script. It's just everything. They tied it in so perfectly to the original. They have some good depth. Again, the conflict, the multi-layered conflict with Maverick and how he overcomes it is great. Plus all the other characters, the kind of arcs complete, which is just awesome. Editing, 10 out of 10. Those scenes and those fighter jet scenes are just perfectly paced. You can feel the action. It's great how they cut all the different angles together. Cinematography, 10 out of 10. I mean, you can't give this not a 10 out of 10 with the technology they use and everything. It's just a beautiful movie. Like all,
it is.
Even outside of the fighter pilot scenes, everything else looks beautiful. Like it's just a great filmed movie. And then enjoyability, 10 out of 10. I could watch this movie any day of the week. It's one of those movies that I could watch over and over again because it's just great and complete and awesome and enjoyable, entertaining. So 10 out of 10, which gives me that 9.4 out of 10.
Boom.
Boom. All right. You got any final thoughts on Top Gun Maverick?
I'd say talk to me, Goose, but you just did.
Yeah, my final thought would be Tom Cruise just knows how to make movie magic alive. He keeps movie magic alive and well.
Thank you, Tom Cruise.
It's not no Marvel CGI bullshit that doesn't feel real. He is pushing the envelope to make sure that when you go to the movie theater and watch a Tom Cruise movie, you're like, damn, they did that shit.
I think he's inspired some people too. I mean, Brad Pitt in F1, he's about to be in that car.
Yep. I think, didn't they use the same type of technology?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
I just remember Brad Pitt made a joke years ago where somebody was like, somebody interviewing him about a movie. They were like, wow, like that was actually you, like in that. And he was like, yeah, like how cool, right? And he was like, I mean, how can we even say, like, how can we give me a thumbs up for doing that when Tom Cruise is flying off of airplanes right now? Like right now.
Yeah, 6-year-old man.
Yeah, and so I think Brad Pitt was like, shit, dude, like that's literally my peer. That was the guy that I came up with in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so now we got Brad Pitt. He's going to be flying around in a car.
Yep.
I think he's going pretty fast too.
Yeah. F1 cars. Have you ever seen the F1 car versus the NASCAR? the speed difference is insane.
Really?
Here, let's just last quick little fun segment here.
Because don't y'all worry, we're gonna get to F1. We're waiting for it.
There's like this side by side video. The top is NASCAR. Bro, just disappears.
Oh my God.
Isn't that insane? The
That's
difference in
crazy.
speed. Good God. I mean, those guys' reflexes are insane.
Yeah. Well, they put Brad Pitt in one of those.
Oh yeah. Good for Brad.
Well,
good for brother
Tom,
Brad.
because I'm pretty sure that's just because Tom Cruise is like, no, dude, like, you want people to really think you're a badass in a film, you get in that plane.
Yep.
You do the impossible. So thank you again, Tom Cruise.
Yep. And thank you guys for listening. Comment below your thoughts on Top Gun Maverick. Let us know why you either love it or hate it. Do you think it was a great sequel? Let us know if we missed anything from the story, any connections we might have missed. Don't forget to give us your rating of the movie. We'd love to see those. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. Leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast. We will catch y'all next week. We are out.